If you watch the Zapier and Make video, you know what automations are and how they can save you time. But if you haven't had a minute to catch them, I'll link them right here and you can watch them right now. There is a tool that takes the game a little farther, and that is n8n. n8n gives you a little more freedom over how your workflow looks and behaves. So it has multiple steps, it can be as complex as you want, it can have multiple triggers, different logic branches, merges data. Basically, you can build a workflow that is as complex as you want or as simple as you want. And the best part is, ContentStudio now connects with n8n. Hi, this is Amna, and in this video I'll show you everything from how to connect ContentStudio via API endpoints to what HTTP requests are and how to build your very own first automation. So let's jump in. Once you log into your n8n dashboard, it's pretty simple to navigate. You can browse ready-made templates searching for your particular niche, or like we'll be doing in this video, start completely from scratch. Every workflow inside n8n is built on something called nodes. Think of them as building blocks. Each node either does something or reacts to something, and each workflow starts with a trigger, a key event that starts the automation workflow. Now, what makes n8n unique is that you're not boxed into one path, you can make multiple paths. So the idea for this workflow is pretty simple. I want that whenever I add a new row in my Google Sheets, it will create a post in ContentStudio. Most of the templates are customizable and free, so you can easily use them. For this video, I'll be starting with Google Sheet as a trigger node. So the first step is to add a trigger, so you can trigger it manually on an app event. There are a multitude of apps that you can choose from to act as a trigger node, and you can trigger it on a schedule like every Monday or every month, whatever is your preference and requirement. So for this tutorial, I'll be using Google Sheets as the trigger node, and from the list I'll be choosing the on row edit. So anytime a new row is added, the automation will be triggered. So obviously it needs authentication or access, so we will use the OAuth or authentication method, and in which you just have to sign in with Google and give it the access, and you're done. Then you'll see the options like poll times. So basically at what time n8n should check for the changes, so you can check that as you like. Next up, you have documents, so you can choose from list, by URL, or by ID. From list is very easy, just choose based on the name of your spreadsheet. And then you have to choose the specific sheet, again by list, by URL, or by ID. From list, you can easily choose it by the name of the sheet. So we already decided that it will trigger on the row added, and that's it. Now we'll fetch the test event. So this will run it and see if there is anything new in that sheet, and it has fetched the data. So it includes image link, caption, and date. Okay, so you can see the output in three different types: schema, table, and JSON. So the next node we'll add is an HTTP request. Before we head any further, let's talk about something that usually scares people off: the HTTP request node. When you first open that node, it looks intense. You got everything from query parameters to headers to body fields and SSL certificates, and your brain just goes like, nope, this is too technical. Here is what's actually happening. n8n is basically showing you everything, every way you can execute a workflow. And you don't even have to know all of them. You just need one or two. So once you get the basics down, it's very easy to execute this HTTP request node. So there are four basic HTTP requests that you need to worry about. The first one is get. To get is to fetch some information, so you're basically requesting some information from that app. Second is put. Put is basically to update any information, so you're like, hey, I want this information to be updated. Then is post, that is to create something new, so you're just asking it to create a new post, new entry, new record, anything. And the fourth is delete, so that is to remove any data. So it's pretty simple, you won't need the rest of them. These are the four HTTP request methods that you need to know. Okay, So to start with it, you have to fetch the workspace data. So to do that, you'll be using the get method, and then we'll just import a curl. So referencing to the API docs of ContentStudio, let's just go there. Okay, in the API reference, scroll down to find the get workspaces section, and you can import your API key here in the test request, so that the curl includes your API key in it. So to find your API key, just go into your ContentStudio account under API key and copy it and paste it here. Once you have done that, you'll just copy the curl command and import it in n8n. That should fill all of the query parameters headers by itself, and you just recheck it. So the base URL is done. Then you'll set the authentication. We'll set it to none. If there is a predefined credential type, you can use that as well, but for this video we'll be going with none. Okay, next up is security parameters. They're already set. You can go with this. For the headers, that is basically where you input your API key. That is already done due to the curl command. So let's execute the step. So this should fetch all the workspaces, and here we have all the workspaces that is retrieved. So you can choose from your workspaces. Okay, for the next node, we need to identify the social accounts within a workspace. So for again, we'll be using the get command because we're fetching the social accounts. So we need to add a curl command again. So referencing the API docs, we'll just copy the curl. That will include everything that we need. We have already imported the API key inside it. Just import it into n8n. Once that's done, there's one thing that you need to change. In the URL, the workspace ID is hard embedded, so you need to change that to the workspace ID that you want to use. So from the output of the last node, you'll just retrieve the workspace ID that you want to use. I'll be using this, and just copy and paste it here. The query parameters are set. So the first one is platform. So basically what social media platform you want it to retrieve. So you can select whatever you want. I'll be selecting LinkedIn. And then again, the headers are set with my API key. After that, we'll execute this step. Okay, the accounts are successfully retrieved. Now this includes all my LinkedIn accounts within my workspace that I embedded. Next up, we have to create the post. So again, an HTTP request. Here, of course, we're creating a new post. So we're going to be using the post method, selecting that. Now we have to import a curl again, referencing the API docs, just going there under post, under the create a new post. You'll find the JSON file, just copy the curl, and it will include everything. So to create a new post, you have to have a JSON file because it will include every detail that your post should have. So copying that, going back to n8n and import the curl. This should set the parameters as required, so there is no need for query parameters here. So you'll just use the header, and in which you'll import the API key. Again, for the URL, you need to import the workspace ID in it, because n8n needs to know which workspace are we talking about. So copy pasting the workspace ID from the input of your HTTP request, and then we'll go into the body. So the JSON body is basically what is customizable in your post. So just go on expression and expand the JSON. Here you can see the input of the last that you can input in this expression, and then the result. So you have different things you can look at. There's content, then you have text, then media, image, or video, so you can choose one. And then I'll just be removing the video section. And then you have accounts. So for accounts, you have to tell it the ID of each account that you want to post on. And then there is scheduling. So publish type is scheduled, and the scheduling at should be the date and time you want the post to be scheduled at. Then there is the first comment. If you wish to include a first comment, you can do that, otherwise you can just delete it. Now this looks a little scary, but I promise you it's not. You just have to input the dynamic data in the right inverted commas, and if the results show green, then it means that it reads it well. So same goes for text, and then image. You'll just paste the image link from the Google Sheet trigger, and for the ID, we have done an HTTP request to fetch the social media accounts. From there, just choose the ID that you want and just input that in the account section, and do delete the dummy data. For the date, just include the date, dynamic date from the Google Sheet trigger over here. And if you do not wish to add a first comment, just delete that. Okay, let's execute this step. This will show an error of bad request. That means that the scheduled date and time is not right in the right format. So for that, as we discussed before in a video of Zapier and Make, that ContentStudio needs a specific format. So don't worry, we can add a formatter here. Just search for date and time, and in that choose the format a date option, and it's pretty simple. You just input the date that you want from your Google Sheet trigger, so that is the input data, and then you'll choose the format. So you'll make a custom format. This is case sensitive, so just type it like I am and you'll be good to go. Okay, once you execute this step, this should give you a formatted date. Okay, now we have to change the date in the JSON file as well. So going into there, again in the JSON, we'll just change the date. Now if you see that it's showing red under accounts, so it's undefined, so we need to re-input that due to some error. It is claiming that the account is undefined, so you can just re-input that here and that should fix it. If you execute this step now, it should be successful and the post is set, scheduled in your publisher. So let's verify that. Going into your ContentStudio account, under publisher, you can see the post is scheduled with the caption, the right date, and the image. So there you have it. That is a simple workflow where you connect Google Sheets with ContentStudio, formatting the date, and you can make your workflow as complex as you want. Okay, so this is how you can connect ContentStudio with n8n. Now we just used a simple trigger to action workflow, but you can make it an AI automation by adding AI agents like I will be doing in the next video. Now this was a very simple singular trigger to action workflow, but you can make it as complex as you want by using AI agents or other apps or API calls. So I would love to know if you try connecting ContentStudio with n8n or just working with n8n, and if you're struggling with something. So next up, we'll be diving into Pabbly Connect video. So watch out for that, and I will see you soon.